Heading into the 2025 season, one of the big storylines in NASCAR was going to be who was covering the races. NASCAR had inked a huge deal from 2025 to 2031, and part of it was adding one technically returning, but two new broadcasters alongside Fox and NBC. These being TNT as well as Prime. Now, TNT and Prime, for the most part, sounds like are going to have a lot of carryover, but today, Prime announced a lot of major changes and a lot of big coverage facts, I guess, of who's going to be out there giving us our coverage from the Coke 600 all the way through to right before Atlanta, at least for 5 weeks. And when it comes to a coverage team, in all honesty, what comes to mind for me is youth. Maybe not in the driver's seat, obviously, but when it comes to TV coverage in terms of who's going to be out there, this is a very young, energetic, and I would even say popular coverage team. Let's start off in the booth with what's already been announced. Adam Alexander will be the lead commentator for these 5 races, as well as when they go to TNT. The booth is going to carry over for sure. Adam Alexander, to me, is one of the most underrated play-by-play guys out there. He's been pretty good so far with the CW on the Xfinity Series side, where he's the lead announcer, and I don't see why that's not going to keep going when he gets up to the Cup side of things. He had been a lead announcer for the Cup Series back with TNT from 2010 to 2014, and he's been working with a ton of different drivers and talent when he was with Fox Sports covering the Xfinity Series. Having Steve Letarte next to him is another younger, energetic guy to have up there in the booth, and he's still close enough to the garage area and to his career that his crew chiefing expertise is still pertinent and really can help with a lot of people when they're watching, say, for the first time. And you saw this with NBC over the last 10 years. Letarte definitely grew over time, and you could really see him blossom once Dale Jr. got up in the booth with him, which is the guy who's going to be the driver analyst up there. And it's Dale Jr. He has knowledge of just about every facet of the sport, and at this point, he would have to basically try to screw up with fans. So I think this booth is pretty solid, and it's being joined, in my opinion, by a really good and I would say intriguing supporting cast. Let's go to the pits. They've announced today that Kim Kuhn, Marty Snyder, and Trevor Bayne will be in the pits for these 5 races. There's no word if they'll carry over to TNT, but I would assume they probably would, as these will be, for the most part, the same teams. Kim Kuhn, to me, is one of the best pit reporters out there right now. She, at one point, to me, was just another Miss Sprint Cup, but since then has grown immensely. And you can tell by a lot of her interviews that she will push and ask questions that need to be asked. And that's something that a lot of the pit reporters nowadays just don't do. They do the bare minimum. And in my opinion, this is something that needs to be addressed when it comes to having, say, a good coverage compared to a great one. So I am more than confident that Kim Kuhn will be just fine out there doing everything that we would want a pit reporter to do. Marty Snyder is, in my opinion, the tenured veteran of the team. He's somebody who's been around since the boom era of NASCAR, and in my opinion, he has not gotten any worse since then. He's just gotten better. The intriguing one for me is Trevor Bayne. Trevor Bayne is technically not retired by any means. He's probably the youngest guy to join the Prime Studios production when it comes to this, and he could still probably race Xfinity and maybe some select Cup races. He's definitely going to be able to ask questions that drivers would be able to answer, and maybe even know a little bit more from that side of it too. I don't know how he'll be in the pits because I haven't really seen too much of him there, but I'd have to assume with how good the rest of this team has been that he's going to be just fine out there. And then you got the live studio, the ones that they'll probably have for the pre-race show, and then also talking about the race in different breaks, similar to what Fox Sports does with Chris Myers, or what they would have in the NASCAR and ESPN days where there'd be a booth to talk about, or the Peacock Pit Box when it comes to NBC nowadays. And this is Daniel Trotta, Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoie. I have a feeling LaJoie is going to be the one that most people aren't happy with because he's an unpopular driver right now, but you can't deny how much knowledge he has of the sport. Being in it for so long and having family ties in the sport, that's something that I think you cannot underestimate. And when it comes to his presence behind a microphone, there's a reason he's stuck around so long in the podcasting space. The dude has charisma. He has, I think, a lot of presence behind the mic, and he has a lot more knowledge than people give him credit for. Danielle Trotta as the lead studio host, I think, is a perfect casting. She has been in the sport now for well over 15 years, probably 20 years at this point, and she was the host of NASCAR Race Hub when it was actually good back in the day. She was right alongside the likes of Steve Burns and Adam Alexander, and I think she can well within hold her own and basically hold people's feet to the fire if need be. I like her being able to lead it too because I think she does have that energy and charisma, and that is really the theme, I think, of all of these hires is every single one of these people has tons of energy and passion, and I will take that right after Fox Sports. It's going to be a great way to compare and contrast the staleness and the just blandness of current Fox to a new partner who definitely is trying to win fans over, who are definitely not really for streaming or just the platform in general. But the big one is Carl Edwards. Edwards will be joining the coverage in the studio with Trotta and LaJoie, and I really, really love this. One, because I just miss Carl Edwards at the track. He belongs at NASCAR tracks. He belongs in the sport, and the brief amount of times I've been able to talk to him on the races he's been back, you can tell he still has the passion for it, even if he doesn't want to get back in the driver's seat. And, you know, he could still practice and qualify the 5 car, though it sounds like he is going to decline that. But he will probably in some ways be at the track doing some kind of scouting and promos. I definitely thought he'd be at the track more, but I didn't realize he'd be here in such an official role. As a driver too, he would go up in the booth or go in the studios. I remember specifically a Pocono race at, I want to say 2011, I think was the year that he did that or something like that. And he's always had that charisma to be in there. I think that this is perfect for him. He doesn't have to lead the broadcast. He doesn't have to have all of the broadcast shouldered on him. He just has to talk about what he sees out there from a driver's perspective, just like Corey LaJoie. I think these three will actually be really, really in sync and have a lot of chemistry, as I think the booth will as well. The only question I have is pit road with Trevor Bayne, and I still have plenty of confidence in him because he's somebody else who's good behind the mic. Overall, I'm really excited for Prime. I know a lot of people don't like it because it's streaming and it's new and it's different, but I like the opportunities that this could bring up, and I think that this is really going to make this go above and beyond. Any NASCAR fans on the fence, I think, can be won over by these hires. Any that dislike it can have different things that they will like about it, whether it be Dale Jr., Carl Edwards, or just any of these people in all honesty. And I really think that come the end of the Prime run, especially if a lot of these people don't carry over to TNT, we're going to have a lot of fans missing this crew by the time it's all said and done. But with that, I want to know what you think. Do you think Prime is knocking it out of the park, or are you still not convinced that they're going to do anything worthwhile with NASCAR and you think it's a big mistake? Or are you just somebody who is in the middle? I'll wait and see. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.